So good evening. We are going to get started this evening. So my name is Janae Smith. I'm with eHoldings. eHoldings is the MWBE coordinator. I'm on behalf of BPG for the FNB Tower project. This afternoon, we are going to walk through what is required to be signatory for this project, specifically to the Operators Union. As you've already been alerted, the session is being recorded. The presentation portion of it will be posted so that those who could not attend today could gather that information at a later time. If you have any questions, I know we only have a few folks on the call today, but if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat feature. We will have a dedicated question and answer segment. That portion of the recording will be precluded from posting, but that will be an opportunity for us to freely ask questions. And then last but not least, we have technical difficulties. You'll be able to chat Allison Hunt by simply using the chat feature, and she can help you to the best of her abilities. Then if you are joining via phone, the way that you unmute and mute yourself is via *6. And if you need to raise your hand during Q&A, you would use *9. I am not going to take any longer to get this meeting started. I'm going to turn it over to Teresa Yacamino with Turner to get us going.
Oh, I need to unmute myself. Sorry, everybody. I'm working off my phone tonight versus my computer. So Teresa Giacomino with PJ Dick, thank you to join us this evening with the Operators Union. And actually looking at the invitees, Bob Lawson, I think you are the only sub joining us here. Jesse, welcome. Thank you for being part of this. He's with the Operators Union as well as Tom and then Dave. So I'll kind of breeze through some of these things if we go through the slides. Next one. So the meeting objectives, like we have been doing in each of these union meetings, just generally talk about the FNB Tower, the MW goals, PJ Dick and our signatory affiliations, Dave's union introduction, then Tom and Jesse can speak, path to a project agreement, as well as questions. Next. So as you know, the first project in the redevelopment is the office building for 26 stories, core and shell construction, with compliance requirements with the city and the RCAP funding and the MWBE enterprise, as well as workforce objectives and goals. Next. We have 30% minority and 15% women business participation requirements, job creation for local inclusion of 20% new hire minority labor force, priorities given to the Greater Hill District community residents, and then outside of the Greater Hill District community. Overall, the workforce development goal is 25% minority and 10% women participation. Next. PJ Dick is signatory to carpenters, laborers, cement finishers, operators, and iron workers for rebar only. So what does that mean for the non-union sub? Basically, that means in order to subcontract with PJ Dick and to provide labor on the project, the subcontractor either needs to be signatory to the unions for each of those or one of those that they're performing the work in, or have a project agreement in place with that particular union for the work you'd be performing on site. Next. So this kind of gives an overview of projections of working hours on the project. We're anticipating 450,000 hours in totality for the job, and the next slide will show you how it breaks down for each of those trades. And the next slide, please. So I'll turn it over to Dave Vacalenti right now with the MBA, who will kind of go through a few items to introduce the union.
Thank you, Teresa, and appreciate being with everybody this afternoon. Bob, if you've got questions, I know Teresa mentioned, I think you're the only contractor on the call. I'm certainly okay if you interrupt me while I'm talking if there's anything that you'd like to address. But this slide here really is just to try to help educate on some common terms, but terms that might be a little misunderstood. So oftentimes, people that are not signatory contractors or aren't familiar with union construction will talk about fringe benefit obligations from a contractor standpoint and a benefit standpoint for the employee, but they may actually be thinking about payments that are due to the union, and that would be union dues that a union member pays to the union, whereas fringe benefits, as I said, are what an employer pays on behalf of the employee, the union member, and that's a part of the total package that gets negotiated through the collectively bargained agreement. Those benefit funds would be pension, health and welfare or medical fund, could be a savings and annuity, the apprenticeship training program, right? These are all fringe benefits that go above the wage to create the total package. There are other financial obligations when considering becoming a signatory contractor, things like a surety bond that might be looked at for those fringe benefit obligations. Some unions have them, some do not. They vary based on possibly the amount of volume work or the crew size that you might have. And it does depend on the union itself in terms of when fringe benefits are due. Each benefit office does collect these different work periods or pay periods. I believe Tom and or Jesse will get into this a little bit more on a future slide. Next slide, please. So at this point, obviously, I've introduced myself with the Master Builders Association. Welcome to reach out to me at any point with any questions. Tom Melcher, who's the head of the Pittsburgh Regional Building Trades Council, I don't believe he's on the call this afternoon. However, his information is available on the screen. He's been a part of these preparatory conversations and meetings as we try to outreach and engage with non-signatory contractors for upcoming work such as the FNB project. I mentioned the operating engineers, Local 66. Tom Lesko, who's the business manager, is on with us today, and Jesse Renna, who I believe is the president, is also with us. Tom, I'd love to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, as you all know, and I explained to Teresa, I'm the new guy, so to speak. Jim Quince is retiring. So I wanted to include Jesse because Jesse is our rep for this area. And, I wasn't quite sure what to expect with today's meeting. And I wasn't, quite sure if I knew the answers to what you would want to know. So I'm glad, Jesse was able to make it also. And hopefully we can answer any questions, that are asked of us. But, as you can see, we cover basically the 33 western counties of Pennsylvania. We also have Mahoning, Trumbull, and Columbiana counties in Ohio. But, we run the heavy equipment, the bulldozers, the backhoes, the cranes, etc. And, we have a 4-year apprenticeship program and about almost 8,000 members in our membership. So we're a very sizable local. But, in a nutshell, I'm not sure what you want to hear.
Next slide. So Tom, if you're able to kind of read through this slide and maybe give some answers to those questions. Those are questions we've heard over time that people have had about kind of union associations in general.
Yeah, I mean, as far as fringe benefits, yeah, we, typically our contractors remit the benefits 30 days after the previous month, as you have listed there. As far as bonding, sometimes that is something that we do require. It depends. So as we talk, Teresa, we'll take a look and see what we think. We are here to work with everybody. So, we'll go from there. As far as somebody working on a non-union project, this is definitely out of our norm. Once again, I'm open to discussion. I don't want anyone to think that we're not willing to work with everybody, but yeah, this is definitely out of our norm. Not something that we usually do, but I'm open to talking about it if need be. yes, current employees would need to join the union. Typically, I paid $35 or $500 for my union book 35 years ago. It's never changed. So it does cost that to join. We have monthly dues. You're looking at about $64.05 a quarter is what they amount to. A sample agreement. I gave you our full-fledged agreement, which is our only agreement. And as I stated, we can't specify that it's only for a certain project. So that's not a non-issue there.
So I had mentioned this a little bit earlier in terms of the things that you might want to consider as you're weighing becoming a signatory contractor and what that might mean in terms of your business decision. Some of the elements about this, Tom had mentioned a little bit ago, but yeah, it really does require that conversation and that engagement with the union. And that's why we've been working to bring those union leaders together here for these info sessions so you'd have access to and can ask questions of, but then also have follow-up conversations where it pertains to your business. So the union and the contractor do need to discuss what that might look like on a one-job situation, if that's something that they're willing to entertain and get into, or if it's a larger commitment that you need to evaluate. One of the assets, one of the enormous benefits, I think, from working with the building trades and being a signatory contractor is the fact that they've got self-funded training programs that are all part of the cents per hour contribution in the agreement. They are extremely qualified, trained from first day apprentice all the way through foreman level. And that's one of the elements that they provide to you as a signatory contractor is a qualified, competent operator. The training fund is just one of the funds that I mentioned earlier. Health and welfare is also a huge asset to our contractors, our signatory employers. Not something that you've got to then go and negotiate on your own or provide in terms of a benefit to your employees, to your workforce that are a part of the union. It is it's a good business model and something that I think makes a lot of sense where you're talking about labor unions or the fund, the health and welfare funds that have the ability to negotiate extremely competitive terms with healthcare providers for these families and individuals that are union members and your employees. Next slide.
So before we kind of dive into resources, Jesse, I wanted to give you the opportunity if there's anything that you'd like to add to this conversation before I chat about resources and then open it up to questions.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
I'm sorry. I do want to add something regarding the project specific that was mentioned before. We use that as a marketing tool to sign new contractors often, and it's just a way for that new contractor to see what we have to offer before they would sign a long-term commitment. So there really are no strings attached beyond that. If they want to walk away at the end of it, it's our job to sell our union and what we have to offer to those companies. And the members that would happen to join, the idea there is to make sure that a short-term membership really doesn't benefit that worker. You know, the idea for that is to have a long-term membership to be able to build up those benefits, including especially the pension plan, and even the healthcare plan. With intermittent payments into that, they would run out of health insurance. So I just wanted to add those couple things. That's all I have.
Jesse. For those of you who might be interested, I just want to kind of reiterate some resources that are available. The first being additional training resources that are available through the Riverside Center for Innovation. And those training services could be things as simple as bonding or training for insurance, as well as estimating. The URA does have some working capital or business expansion, programs available that could help with funding or financing. And we can get you connected with them if that is something that's important in order to make participating in this project more obtainable. And then last but not least, the union does offer several pre-apprenticeship programs for those who apply, and that information is listed herein. So we've done most of the talking for this presentation, and we'd like to now open it up to any questions you may have. Bob, you are our lone participant, so the floor is 1000% yours.